Well, good morning and welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. I am so sorry. I was up in the shower and I said the A word, the person, the machine. Tell me what time it is. And it was like, time. And I was, oh, sorry about that. How is everybody this morning? Let me first say my hellos and then we will get into the content because last week the new issue of Rug Hooking Magazine came. And I saw that, but we were so kind of consumed with other conversations, I didn't do it immediately. And today is definitely the day to do it. The new Rug Hooking Magazine looks like, well, I could actually say it looks like that, just like that. So yeah, I've got lots of comments on this. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff I don't like. I have to be honest, but there's a lot of stuff I do like. One of the things that I don't like is tell me if this is different. Tell me if this is different. It's now coming with a sticker attached with my address and also ripped, right? It also came ripped, but I guess not much you can do about that except maybe, I don't know, put it in a bag. But when you peel the sticker off, it doesn't come off. It just rips the cover more. Were they in bags before? Am I losing my mind? Am I thinking of like a different magazine? No, I'm not being sarcastic. I just feel like I'm not used to them coming all ripped up. I mean, it's not an enormous magazine to begin with, and it's coming ripped up with the cover like permanently damaged upon arrival because I can't get the sticker off. Um, so that's for I'm peeling at the sticker now. Now with my sort of ADHD, this could go on for a long time. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop peeling. Just gotta stop myself like that. So let's look at this together and let's talk about what's working and maybe what's not working. We all have different feelings about it, right? I have my opinions have no more weight than anybody else's. That is for sure. Let's start by saying hello and good morning and happy Monday. How is it going this morning? I was so tempted. I'm not going to, but I went to the Fiber Festival this weekend on Saturday. I went to the New England Fiber Festival, and it was fantastic. I don't know how many stalls. I don't know if anyone else. I know other people were there because I saw people I knew, and that was a lot of fun. But I don't know how many stalls were there, and I wish I would have looked that up. It seemed like a lot. It seemed like as many as last year. I went on Saturday, so it was the day when it was just opening, and it was energized and excited. Everybody was excited and beyond excited, obviously. Everybody was feeling crazy, and it was almost like the running of the bulls. You just start in different parts of the event space, and yeah, it was amazing. So I bought some amazing stuff, but I'm not going to talk about it today. We'll look at that together for the next show. Yeah, I want to show you everything I got because I got some stuff I hadn't seen before, and I thought, interesting. So I want to share all of that. But today I want to focus on Rug Cooking Magazine. Just going to unbutton my pants because apparently I'm putting weight on again. There we go. Whew, I can breathe. It was a wonderful show though, and yeah, I mean, you end up leaving these events so inspired and overwhelmed. I'm not easily overwhelmed in shopping situations, I have to say, with fiber stuff. The mall, I'm done in 30 seconds. But at a fiber festival, it's like you almost feel like by the time you're on the sixth hour, and I ate when I first arrived, and then I didn't eat until after we left because I didn't want to take the time out. I knew I was getting close on time. They were going to start making the announcements about it being close to 5. And I thought, I don't want to miss anything. I wanted to see everybody in all of the rows. And I have to say, in these situations, some of the stalls seem repetitive because you do hit that place of you feel like some kind of a weird android and you're like, I see more yarn. I go here, more yarn, more colored yarn. And then you're like, I buy another skein. I buy that bag. And you realize you're doing that for a little while. And then it's like, okay, maybe some time for some water. But, I have to say, in general, it's remarkable how each stall, with very few exceptions, seem to have like quite a different look. You know what I mean? When I got to the very, very end, there was a stall called, I want to say Campfire Yarn, something like that. They're based in Harwich, Mass, which is Cape Cod. And her stall was like so bright. Everything was white and neon with like no exceptions. And like grassy green, but super happy colors and no fall colors at all. It was like, I want to. It does. It sounds like it's a lot of one thing, but it wasn't. It was incredible variety and different weights of yarn and everything. And I just thought, wow, maybe the thing is to split it up over 2 days so that you can like rinse your brain. Although, alternate argument to that train of thought, I did hear some of the vendors like talking to each other, going like, "Oh God, did you notice how quickly that sold out? Like that color way sold out." And I'm thinking, what colorway? What did I miss? You know, I don't want to hear those kinds of. I don't want to hear that at all. It's like the magic colorway sold, and you didn't get any. Man, it was fun. We'll talk about that more later. Melissa, great to see you. Good morning. You finally found fiber tape in your area. Awesome. It's only a patch kit. Yeah, they sell this, the small one too. But you can piece it together. Sometimes when I'm in a pinch and I'm out and it's late and there's no time for errands or orders, I get, I have the small one too, and I just patch a couple together, or I patch a couple scraps together. It is harder, right? Because you're piecing it, but it works. It still works the same way. So yeah, that's a good start, right? Cheryl, great to see you. Speaking of Cape Cod, good morning. You are warming up with a cup of coffee after a frosty start. It is cold out there, isn't it? For us, it was cold this morning. It wasn't quite freezing, but it was like 40. And I got in the car to drop the kids off, and Teddy had his shorts on. Sometimes I say, Ted, come on, no brain, no pain. Let's not do this. Because he is smart. But he doesn't go outside. They don't have recess anymore in middle school, which I think is really sad too, because there's something to be said for fresh air on a day when there's no precipitation. I'm not going to start. So I tried to put the heat on, and the heat wouldn't come on. It just got colder and colder and colder. So then I thought, well, maybe the car's not warmed up enough. It's only been half an hour that I've been driving this morning, and it never warmed up. So I might have to take the car to Firestone. I called them to say, what could this be? Because I literally had it in there last week to the tune of $1,600, and it wasn't the week before, and it wasn't the week before that, for general maintenance stuff, like things being replaced. And it's like, whew, it's the first cold day, and now we're not getting any heat at all. We made it. Like, obviously we made it, but facing the winter, I would like to have a little bit of heat in the car, right? Otherwise, drives are tricky. So we'll see what happens next. But yes, it is cold. And at the same time, I haven't checked the weather forecast. Will it be 90 degrees tomorrow? I don't know. I would not be surprised at all if it was. That's the thing. Still. April, great to see you. Chilly morning there too. Chilly and rainy fall day. Oh, we're hitting it. We're hitting that patch of fall now. Becky, great to see you. Good morning in Indiana. Rainy fall days there as well. Kind of cozy. Well, that is good. Remember, this is the time of year. We're heading into the time of year for ourselves and our friends where people do tend to hit this sort of spate of really cold, bleak, endless, weirdly endless, but also extremely short days. And some of ourselves and our friends get very depressed heading into winter. So be looking out for that. Be thinking about that as if we don't have enough on our plates at this moment, right? But I'm thinking about that already, and I'm looking at some of my friends and listening to their messages that they leave and thinking, I think it's starting early this year. I'm going to keep my eye on this. I'm going to watch this spot because I like to at least notice when my friends are getting depressed, right? Because it can start early because the weather's different lately. Good to keep an eye out on that. Karen, great to see you. Good morning from snowy Black Forest, Colorado. Got ribs in the crock pot for dinner tonight. That sounds amazing. Karen, I'm going to try to shoot to the studio later today. We'll see how that goes. I had a few wrenches thrown in the day. One of them is I didn't realize Teddy had a doctor's appointment today. Another one is I didn't realize Jossie had a birthday party after school. And the third one is I need to bring my car to Firestone. So my plan for this afternoon was to shoot to the studio and grab some of the fiber stuff I don't use, put it in a box and send it to Karen, to Karen's mom more specifically, for that event that's happening in Asheville, North Carolina this weekend. It is like a fiber artist's aid thing. So I want to put together a box of stuff that I'm not using, at least one box, and send it that way. So I'm really hoping, because if it's not today, it won't make it in time. I'm really hoping in between, right, all of that stuff, I can shoot out there. My studio's like half an hour away. That's the real bummer. I'm going to do my best, Karen. Kaz, good to see you. Good morning from cloudy and warm Wisconsin. Good morning to you, too. I just put my kimono in the closet because I wanted to take a picture of it so you could send it to I always forget her name, the Japanese woman who's so nice, who gave it to me when I became the president of Tigger. Well, which I am not officially yet. I am. We're transitioning boards right now. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to Newport to set up rooms and extra rooms and rooms where we can just sit and hook during that huge event that will be Tigger 2027. So I'm doing that tomorrow. But I want to send that picture to you, Cass. You can forward it to her with some words from me. Sandy, great to see you. I need to dye your yarn to do the native Tom set. Don't think I've forgotten. I need to do that. I'll do that tonight. Good morning in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Great to see you. Joyce, great to see you also in Pennsylvania. Ryan, happy Monday to you in Fort Worth, Texas. Peace and love to you too. Kat, great to see you. Got your swag bag, but you haven't opened it yet. You're still waiting. Oh, you're still waiting for my first book to arrive. Interesting. Okay, I noticed that on Amazon, my first book is on sale. So that I have nothing to do with that. I never get to say. So that was interesting. That was a good thing to notice. I just noticed that by accident because I was looking at my author's page to be sure that Rug Hooking Magazine finally has my second book up there. They do have it up there, but it's not stocked yet. So I made a very big deal out of that. I have to admit, last week, I made a very big deal out of that because that book came out in February, and so far it's not for sale anywhere except with me. And it's like, I didn't write it for it to disappear into the ether, quite that quickly, and put all of your work in there to boot, right? All of the people who hooked for it, and I am working on number 2. That's absolutely for sure. I'm kind of waiting to see how they do with number 1 before I decide whether I'm giving them number 2 or I'm just going to do it myself, because so far, not so good. You see what I mean? So anyway, the first book seems to be on sale, and that would be, when that happens, that is the publisher Fox Chapel who's doing that. And that signals to me that they're starting to promote my first book. Seems like a really long time, right? But I've spoken to the editor there quite a bit, and they said, well, what they do first is they sell it as long as they can, without sending it out to retail outlets, because of course retail outlets take a chunk. And because of that, they would like to make the most money on the first wave of the book, and then they start promoting the book. So in other words, it would be extremely unlikely. I think that book is a 2023 book, or maybe late 2022, maybe 2023. But yeah, you would never sadly see, like, for example, that first book at Joann's or Michael's in that year, because that's what the publishers seem to do. And I didn't know that, is just sit on it for as long as possible for like the drips and drabs of orders that just come in randomly. And then they really start to push it, promote it, and sell it in other places. But then they're making a little bit less. And I wish I would have known that. I don't know that it would have stopped me from doing the book, because I was all excited at that moment. But it would be nice to know that, like, there's absolutely no income, interest, or fanfare about your first book coming out for years after the book comes out. So it looks like there might be some movement with that. I think that's the clue, is that they're putting it on sale on Amazon, because it might start appearing in all of the big box stores, which would not be a bad thing, would be a good thing for me. Judy, great to see you. Good morning. Also in Pennsylvania. I think it's time for a trip to Pennsylvania. There's so many buddies out in Pennsylvania. Seriously. I know, I'm not sure if Lisa Briggs is on, but I talked to her a lot about coming. And one of the girls who I grew up with in Catholic school, like the, K through 8, she's out there, and she's always saying, come and visit me. And I always want to. It's just been busy, but I think it's almost time to plan a fun date for us, right? Like a fun get together date, because there's so many buddies in Pennsylvania. Dave, great to see you. Gray day in Toronto. Oh, there's rain forecast for today. You've got your coffee. That's the best you can do. Equip yourself with your what's the word? Kryptonite against all the rest of the world, right? Judy, Joyce, what part? Yeah, I'm following this too. I was wondering the same thing, Judy. See if you two are near each other. Rita, great to see you. Good morning. Your swag bag is great. Thank you so much. I cared a lot about that swag bag. I was really, I think we're on the, I think we might have sold the last one. I'm not sure what it says anymore on the website. We sent out 3 this morning, or 4. So that might be it for that swag bag. And I did have those special. I'll show you now, because we're at the, oh no, I put them away. Did I put them away? I am a hot mess. I'll show you one of the items that was in the swag bag that I was really, really proud of. Maybe they're here. Are they here? Well, I'll show you. Just, you know what? No, some people haven't opened theirs, so I'll wait. I don't want to spoil the surprise. Yeah, there's a few things in there that I think are incredibly cool, and I did especially for the Haunted Rug books. So I was really proud of that, and already thinking of things that I can do for the next book party. Okay, let's see. Let me keep going. My mouth is running. Okay, okay, okay. In Bucks County. All right. Also, and Becky says, I loved Rhinebeck, but when we went, it was so overwhelming for my first time. Yeah, Rhinebeck is much bigger than the New England one, from what I understand. And the New England one is so big. It's smaller than the one I went to in Wisconsin. Rake has that one is like incredibly big, but you do hit a weird place, and I don't know what the answer is because you do want to cruise around, you do want to see stuff, you don't want to leave stuff that you love to come back for later because that's kind of wasting time with steps, and taking the chance that someone else is going to buy it in the meantime. One of the things they didn't have at this one that they had at the Wisconsin one that I was sad to have missed was like mini bats because you know how I'm hooking with bat like almost all the time. I got a lot of big bats, full size bats, and I passed on some because it was odd to me in terms of like equal weight in ounces for a bat, a wool bat. I understood why for example, Angora ones were super expensive because that bunny is very small, right? It's a lot of material, it's a lot of fiber to get off the bunny to make those bats. But just wool, sheep wool to sheep wool bats, right? And maybe I'm just being a total ignoramus, but some cost $11 for the same size bags as others that cost 65. And I thought, well, I'm glad I didn't buy any of those for 65 because I would be fuming at this point because they were all beautiful and kind of like in the vein of Robert Frost, like equal, right? Like all roads were equal. They diverged into the yellow wood, but hey, they were equally worn, equally attractive, equally everything. The colors were great. The content was 100% wool. So there was a huge kind of disparity for pricing that was alarming to me because you probably do the same thing when you shop. When you see something with a vendor that looks like it is way out of whack price rise wise, you kind of put down what you have in your hands that you were going to buy because you're thinking it has to be the whole stall, right? It can't just be one whimsical thing. It must be the whole stall. And then you think, unless you love it, right, and it's absolutely unique, you think like, ooh, the beauty's here, but maybe the value is not here. Maybe not just that you want a deal, but you want things to be reasonable and to cost somewhat, near where the market value is for something. Otherwise, we're talking about a ripoff. So yeah, there were some things that just weren't there for me at the New England one, and maybe next year they will be, right? You know who was there? Janet Connor, who I really love. I love seeing her, and my buddy Naomi, Ravensgate Primitives, and she's going to be coming with me tomorrow to meet Haley Perry from Loop by Loop, and we'll be going to Rhode Island together because Rebecca's in Colorado, and we've already been together. So we're going to be going room for room tomorrow to figure out what rooms are best for our hooking classes, just for sitting, what's going to be called the hooking harbor, where you're not, doing a class and you just want to sit and hang out with your friends and hook all day. We're going to be sorting all that out together tomorrow. So we're all having some busy times right now. We're making hay while the sun is shining. Isn't that the phrase? All of us who have businesses have been doing that all season, and we are all. As soon as we're done with the checklist, we're all going to fall apart. I can guarantee it. I can already feel it and hear it in my throat for the last few shows. I'm just catching up on where you're all from. Barbara, great to see you. It's errand day there, here for a bit. And Ryan says, winter can be hard. Try using a SAD light therapy lamp. I think I am going to do that. I've got this stupid lamp, and it just makes me angry, which it kind of is the opposite of what we're going for, right? Um, yeah, no, I think even if it's a placebo, doesn't matter. If it works, right? I'm all for placebos. Don't tell me that there's nothing in this pill, right? Just give it to me and let's see what happens next. I have a lot of faith in stuff, and yeah, I bet that lamp would be great. Kaz, Mrs. Ha, 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 Hachisuka, probably that. Thank you. What a sweet woman. All of them were such sweet, talented people. Oh, you're leaving for Tokyo this coming Sunday. I'll do it this afternoon. Fantastic. Hey, Michelle, good to see you, you cutie too. Great to see you. Kirsten, great to see you. Happy Monday from chilly, raining Vermont. Um, Mary Stitches, what a great name. Great to see you in North Carolina. Welcome. Very happy to see everybody this morning. So, okay, so Rug Hooking Magazine. Now, um, I'm going to preface this episode by saying I love Rug Hooking Magazine. I will always love Rug Hooking Magazine because it is one of the three magazines that has to do with my favorite craft, rug hooking, right? The other one is ATHA, and the third one is my own Magpie Times. I love seeing things in print, whether it's magazines, books, anything about rug hooking. So I love this magazine. But I have to say that I am also cognizant of the fact that I often am wildly over the top enthusiastic about Rug Cooking Magazine. And as a result, quite a few people have subscribed and then written to me to say, I wish you weren't so effusively positive about it because it's very, very short. There's a lot of recycled content, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm taking that to heart and saying, I'm very sorry. I'm always sorry if I mislead you in making a purchase. I think the important thing overall is to support the magazine because we want it to continue, right? And it has changed editors 3 times in 2 years. So that's a lot, right? That's a lot. So I'm still in the phase of the hot minute, right? I'm giving them a hot minute to kind of catch up on stuff, particularly the new editor, because she seems very forthcoming, very fast to respond. She seems like an excellent person with a lot of energy. And, you know, okay, let's just do it. So let's go. Let's look at it now. Again, I'm going to give you the reality of it. Okay. Somebody answered. Oh, yeah. This page is. Hold on one second. We're doing a quality check here. Karen says mine came with the top edges of half the pages still together. I had to rip them apart. Okay, I see what you mean. It'd be quaint if it was like 1650, right? And it was like one of those like what are those quarto things, right? Like Shakespeare wrote. Less cute in a subscription magazine for sure. I had to rip them apart across the top of those pages and had ink color blocks on it. Yeah, so there might be a thing, and I don't know what the thing is, and I'm not going to be impertinent and ask. So it's getting to be very small. It's 80 pages all in, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but for example, Magpie is over 120. It's also a lot of advertising at this moment. And I know it has to be because they are paying salaries over there. If I can't compare it to Magpie because I'm working on Magpie with Judy and you all are supplying the best content that has ever been put into any craft magazine. Every issue just keeps getting better, right? They are all crammed with content. Judy and I started with 80 pages, but then we went to 100 and then we went to 120. And yes, there are price jumps at all those intervals, and that is part of the deal. The thing with Rug Hooking Magazine that I appreciate now that I'm publishing my own magazine is that they are not volunteers, right? They have paid salaries. So all of that needs to be paid for. The space needs to be paid for, and they are doing a traditional print format. So all of that stuff is expensive. And I understand there's a lot of costs involved in that. And the only way to offset those costs, because the magazine is not super expensive, it's $12.95, right, for a single copy. I mean, that's better than, for example, Somerset Studio or Architectural Digest or one of those cute magazines that comes with stencils, right? And we're looking at 25, 27 kind of dollars. It's expensive. This overhead stuff is incredibly expensive. I'm not making excuses. It becomes a question of, yes, there are a ton of advertisements in here. There are a ton. Let's look at it together. I'm wondering if they have cut the feature that is like, I'm not seeing it, and I didn't see it. I thought of it because I just referred to it. I'm not seeing the feature that uses the recycled content, and I hope that it's not here. I don't think it is here. I think they cut that. I might be wrong, but I think they cut that. And I think that's important because I think it's a real wind-up that takes the P when you buy a magazine that's not very long and in a huge part advertisements that has recycled content. I think that it can't be, like it just can't, but whatever you have to do, it can't be. And I know a lot of people want to write for Rug Hooking Magazine. So it's nice that that appears to be gone. Let's see what is in there. It is going to boil down to whether or not you like this issue or you like the direction the magazine is going in. It is going to boil down to content because you have to let go the things about it's getting smaller and smaller, and there's more and more ads, because we don't know the details of that. We don't know what the overhead is. We don't know if they are hanging on by a thread, right? And I'm guessing they might be, because it's all expensive. So we don't know that part. So we can't comment. I feel in good faith, we can't comment or judge the magazine based on that. We can only judge it based on the content of the articles, right? So let's forget about the length and that stuff. We can only judge it based on the content of the articles. Are the articles still good? Are they still relevant? And what kind of a community or demographic are they pointing toward? Are they, what is their mission these days, right? There's no right answer, right? For example, I'm going to compare to Magpie because that's my magazine. We are looking to publish people who don't always get seen. We are looking to publish things that are a little bit outside of our craft, that are not rug hooking, but other fiber arts, just for crossover potential and giving people more tricks in their bag of tricks, right? More techniques that they understand and know how to do. We are not a gallery magazine at Magpie. We are not a gallery magazine, and we do not want to be a gallery magazine. I wouldn't say are a lowbrow or beginner magazine. I'd say we're super eclectic and mixed. And our number one thing is inspiration, and our number two thing is inclusion, and I don't think there is a number three thing. So judging from other magazines with ATHA, I think their number one thing is inclusion, right? Because they need to represent all of the various ATHA chapters across the country, and they do that very, very well. Rug Hooking Magazine for me is still a jury's out. I'm not sure where they're heading toward, because under the last editor, Mark Allison, he was heading more toward a gallery format, and we were looking at, and I don't know that it was, I don't think it was particularly his decision, but just as it happened under his sort of reign, there were a lot of really long articles that were on the artsy side, which left very, very few pages for other articles on a variety of other things. So I don't think that was his vision, but it's just the way that it went during that time. You can get outvoted, right? If more people want something else, right? This is like a foreshadowing for tomorrow. Then you have to go with it and not be a jerk, right? Because more people want that, and it's not your thing, but it's more other people's things. You have to go with it if you're a normal adult person, right? So I think for him it was that he wasn't a huge fan of the long articles and very few, but he went along with it. So now we're looking at another sort of chapter, because we have Caitlin is the new editor, Caitlin Danko. And again, she is super, super nice. She seems very, very smart. I've, of course, had interactions with her already. And she's very fast to respond. She's very articulate. And she's very energized. She's young. She's energized. And she's excited. So I'm curious to see what way we're going with this. But I'm going to need help with one of these pronunciation-wise. Canadian friends, get ready. Get on deck. So the articles in this issue are a fiber fashion show. I'm going to struggle with that. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to struggle with that. The main feature is festive fungi. Now, that sounds good to me. And, let's keep going. Inspiration through journaling also sounds good. That sounds like inspiration, so that sounds really good. Okay, Canadian friends. Micmac, or is it Micmac? Micmac designed rugs, right? So we're talking about like a native term, a Canadian sort of not Aboriginal but native term, and I don't know how to say the word. I'm sorry about that. And I can't read the last one because there's a sticker over it that I can't peel off, and I peeled a little of it off and it actually ripped the cover. And I don't mean this rip. I mean like the rips behind it. So it looks like it's something about solder, but I guess we're going to find out. So I'm just going to go cruising through it. Let's look at it together. Let's be super positive, right? Because this magazine represents our craft, and we want them to succeed, right? We don't want them to fail. We want them to succeed. So let's look at it together, and we can have different opinions about what makes sense, what works in a magazine that's 80 pages long, and a third of it is ads, right? So Mi'kmaq. Oh, Melissa, thank you, Mi'kmaq. Never would have gotten there with it. That is like Irish names all over again. Mi'kmaq. Thank you so much. That's way easier. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write it down right over the offending sticker. Mi'kmaq. If I say it enough times, I'll remember. Okay. Okay, so let's see what we got here. There is a call for entries for celebration number 35. We've talked about that before. First article I am in love with. So the first article is called Look How Far We've Come. Isn't that a song? Do 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 do. Oh, what song is that? Looks like we. No, it's not. I'm crossing it with a Barry Manilow song. Looks like we made it. This is a song. This is a song. I just can't bring it up. I don't like the song. I love the Barry Manilow song. Okay, let's move on. So look how far we've come. Progress in the art of rug hooking. Text and photography by Karen Merker. So let me start by reading just the beginning to you. Inspired by the column First Rug on the Last Page. Oh yeah, I liked that. A few hookers from our group, the Dutchess County Rug Hookers Guild, began chatting about our early work compared to our present projects. I asked our members to bring in their first rug or an early piece that they'd made and their most recent piece that they had finished. And here's the result. So this is really fantastic. Now I'm starting with Karen, right? Karen Merker, and that name stuck out for me. And the reason is because I realized that Karen has put rugs into the Big E, which is that huge country fair, at least 2 years in a row, if not 3. And I've judged them every time. And I've given her blue ribbons, I think, every time because she is fantastic. In fact, let's come over here. Faith Hill. Okay, thank you. Oh, Heidi. Huda Eva. Hope it's going good over there. Come over here with me. And all right, so this is the earlier one. So this is Karen Merker's rug that she designed in 2019. This is called Birch Trees, number 6 cut wool on linen. Now, this is a beautiful composition. And obviously, when you see a first rug like this, you know that we're talking about someone who has intrinsic talent, right? And who has found their medium, because it's not just, however she made it through this rug, whether she made it, kind of like dancing through the making of this rug on clouds, on air, singing songs and hooking as she went. Whether that happened or she struggled with technical stuff, we will never know. But the end product is a really interesting cropped rug with fantastic color choices, a big mashup of techniques and styles, and a lot of joy. There's a lot of joy built into this piece, and I am all about joy. So this is an interesting crop because we're seeing the trees right at the middle, like we're seeing their knees, right? Their little stumpy knees, and beautiful birch trees, right? Because I know they're birch because she's in New England. A bit of a Klimt feel to the grass, right? That nice neutral brown background with these beautiful fall colors. It evokes a season. It doesn't hit you in the face, right? It's an interesting, almost photographic composition in terms of the artistry here. It's a very artistic crop. I love that one big fat cloud, right? That's kind of in between the knobbly knees of the trees. It's smart. It's lighthearted. It's beautifully done, and it poses a lot of questions to fellow rug hookers about technique, about for example, shadow. Do you need to go full blast realism if it's not your style? Look at how half of each of these trees is shaded. Perfect. For me, I love that. The markings on the tree remind me of hieroglyphics, right? Not necessarily bark. I love that, right? It's really improvisational. It's pantsy. It has a seat of the pants feel to it, right? It's pantsy. I can almost see a face on all 3 trees. For the one on the far left, way at the top, kind of a meh face with a triangle nose like a cat. On the second tree, on the top right, there's a face pointing right, and right below it, there's a face with like a smudged makeup line, like a 1950s cosmetics ad. And on the far right, there's another tree that looks like it has another face on that tree that looks like it has a double lips, right? And almost like whiskers going across it. Fun. It's fun. It's evocative. If I showed this rug to Teddy, he'd be getting nightmares because he'd be seeing more faces than that. He's great at finding faces that upset him. It's super whimsical. It's super fun. It's stylized. The colors are fantastic. That moody slate blue sky, lots of grays in there, good high contrast to real autumn feel, right? To that light ground. It's almost like the rain is about to come because the land is bright, but the sky is dark, right? It's just a beautiful, moody piece. And Karen did this in 2019. So this was her early or first rug. I'm going to stretch this out for you, but then we come to this year. And guess who put those ribbons on, all three, on this piece? It was me. So I saw this piece this year at the Big E, and I ribboned it up with special awards and the blue ribbon for, every category. I felt like she had excelled. This isn't so different from the one before, but she is still doing like a view through the tree trunks. And in this case, it's to an evergreen, which I think was interesting. It has a surrealist feel to it with all of the kinds of slashes of white trees coming through. Birches are not known for horizontal movement, right? They're known for being verticals. So she's got some sort of horizontals of birches in here, which make it a bit interesting and a little bit unsettling, but exciting. There is a tree, the evergreen tree has like a white cloud right behind it. So it's almost like that tree is being brought forward. Same technique as her older piece. It's just a patchwork of color on the ground. It's stylized leaves and lots of colorful leaves falling. Let's look at this closer up. Hold on, let me just make this a little bit bigger. And remember, this is a photograph of a photograph, so it's not going to come out great. But you see how the leaves that are falling, they are way more colorful than I think it looks in this photo, and so are the leaves on the ground. So she's kept up this trick of doing half of the tree gray, half of it white, and to show you where the light is coming from. And it's smart and it works great. It's a really colorful piece. In this case, the sky has a lot of variation. It's not done it's not broken up as much as the sky in her first piece. This is not a case of good, better, best. They're both best. They're both fantastic. And I was excited to see this piece because, of course, first I was terribly confused because I had just seen it and my eyes couldn't place it. It's like when you see someone on the street and you're in a different town or a different state and it's so confusing for a second. It was one of those. And so was this. This one was one of those as well. This is a piece by, this is called Haida or Haida. I think Haida Hummingbird, designed and hooked by Arlene Merker. So probably a sister maybe, or family member at any rate. So this is also cut wool on rug warp. I saw this piece too. I can't remember if it was this year or last year. It might have been last year. But I absolutely love this piece. And I'm not showing you all the beginnings, the early and late, although I probably should. In this case, this is Arlene's earlier one here. And that is designed and hooked by, Arlene designed that herself. And she's in Port Ewan, New York. So absolutely beautiful. This is another example, Judy Known of Cairo, New York. This is her first and most recent, right? So very different directions. So it's a really interesting conversation and a great product of being with people who you see on a regular basis. Barbara knows this story. A lot of us who are in regular guilds know this story. It's great to, and within our group, we do it too. We constantly check in with each other and look at each other's work. Our face, I always forget to mention, is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. And we do it, of course, on our live shows like this and on our gallery nights. We check in with each other and check out each other's work, right? This is what we do. And it's important to do it because when you know that people are watching and are invested and care about your work, you feel a little bit obliged and responsible in terms of doing more, right? And going forward, right? You feel some sense of accountability when you know that people are watching and they care, right? That's why we're here right now. So this is a great example of checking in with each other and just a great conversation starter. Hey, what did your early work look like? Because I love what you're working on now. What does your early work look like? This is a great conversation to put out there. Maybe we should do a whole show on this. Interesting. Let's do it. Let's do a shout out. Maybe on Friday we can get enough stuff together. If you think of it, if you can, send me one of your earliest or one of your earliest pieces in the piece that you're working on right now or the last piece you finished. Let's do it. And Karen, thank you for the inspiration because it is fun. It's fun to look and see what's changed and and it's, in my mind, it's not an evolution, right? The pictures that my kids drew when they first went to school, I was cleaning up in the bedroom, and I have four bookshelves in the bedroom, right? We're a crazy book family, and I was trying to weed out a few books because it's really out of control. And I found some of their early pictures from when they were tiny little babies, and I saved them for a reason. They're really good, right? And they work in a different style now, but it's not good, better, best. Unless you're a very technical person and you're thinking, well, I always wanted to hook in this way, I'm getting closer to that with more practice. Okay, fair enough. But for some of us, whether we're designing our own rugs or hooking commercial patterns, it doesn't necessarily work like that, nor should it, right? Unless you're competing with yourself, fine. If you're competing with other people by looking at the pages of a magazine, don't do that. It doesn't work like that. It's apples and oranges, right? So if you think of it, send one of your earlier rugs and then one of your recent rugs. And I would love to have a show looking, before and after. Again, I'm not going to say before and after. That's the wrong sentiment. But then and now, right? Because it is an evolution. And it might be that your first rug is still your best rug. Why wouldn't it be, right? So let's come over here. I want to look at this next one. I got to keep a clip going here. So this page, this is Susan Thing of Kingston, New York, 2015. And she did this piece that's called Cherish Family. I think this is absolutely fantastic. The Jack and the Beanstalk, extra large flower plants growing up alongside this pretty happy house, and the family's inside. There's smoke coming out of the chimney. There's a heart on the door. Love lives here for sure. And beautiful, what looks like yarn border, black and white. Beautiful piece. I absolutely love this piece. And this is followed by, oh, wait a minute. I got to show you here this piece, which is the Now for Suzanne Thing. So, I mean, both beautiful, right? Both beautiful. Just different, right? Different style. This is certainly more folky, right? And this is a little bit more, if we're going to scale things, let's just say sophisticated in terms of technique, which doesn't mean that the folky one doesn't have value, right? Some people prefer this style to this style any day of the week, right? So it becomes a question of preference. And certainly our rugs can be different in style from one to the next. Certainly they can. Oh, it's getting hot in here now. I'm sure it's freezing in here, but it's not you, it's me. All right, so let's look at what the next one is. Yeah, I'm skipping some pages, not because they aren't amazingly great. They are amazingly great. They're all amazingly great. I'm still in Karen Merker's article. That's why I'm moving forward a little bit, because we got 15 minutes left. This one is called Past Pets, and this was done by Sarah Jones of Pine Plains, New York. This is cut number 3 to number 8, so big variety of cuts in here, and hooked by, again, Sarah Jones. Past Pets. This is a beautiful piece that plays on the idea of the sort of vintage geometric checkerboard. We are looking at hit or miss in every other block, but then there are other blocks with the Past Pets. We've got 3 horses, 2 dogs, and 2 cats. Absolutely beautiful, balanced well. The energy in the pet blocks remains exciting and kinetic, because they're done to some degree in the hit or miss style as well. And that's why they go so well with the other blocks. At first glance, I thought I would like this more if the hit or miss, some of them were tipped and were horizontal. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, nope, it's perfect the way it is, because the pet blocks have a strong horizontal feel to them. So it really does offset. It really is so pretty. Kathleen, great to see you. So another beautiful piece, and then Sarah's Now piece is this piece at the bottom, which is very different, right? But it's not that, again, I just have to say it one more time. It's not that one is good and one is better. It's that they are 2 completely different styles. And this turned into this current style because that's how Sarah feels now, right? In a lot of cases, people start working in a very, right out of the gate, in a very sophisticated painterly style. And then over the years, they get more involved in primitives, right? And it's not about good, better, best. It's about just change and variety so that you don't go crazy yourself. Now, okay, let's see. I know I'm going to run out of time today, and we're going to figure that out in a minute. This is another beautiful piece. I think this was the first piece. This is a 2013 piece by Sandy Dunn of Hyde Park, New York. This is Colorful Diamonds. And I absolutely love this piece. I love this piece. It looks like an antique rug. I love that black hole in the center. It just keeps me guessing and thinking. It seems kind of like a story, like my imagination is going through that hole, reaching through it. It's an exciting piece for me. I love this piece and I love the border on this piece. So this is the 2013 piece, and this is the with the bird right here. This is the now piece. And they are both beautiful, right? I love the Tiffany glass feel to the now piece. This is 2023, so these pieces are 10 years apart. I love both of these pieces so much. Um, I love them both so much. I would be super attracted to either of them if I saw them for sale somewhere. So just goes to show, oh, I did show you, hold on. Yeah, since I did this, let's see this through. A black diamond, right? Your sort of mind went through that hole. Funny little cubby. So this is House with Large Flowers, hooked by Sharon Charmello of Kingston, New York in 2015. Another beautiful piece. It does remind me of the, what was it? What was the name of that piece? Sorry. Cherished Family with the little house, right? It was fairly similar in style because they're working in the same guild. And people looking at each other's work, which makes a lot of sense. I love this piece. You see the little gingerbread man over on the right? I love this piece. And this is 16 by 10, number 6 through number 7 cut, so kind of right in the middle, toward larger. 6 is my favorite cut. Love a good 7 too. Beautiful, more on the primitive side piece. Absolutely beautiful. You see the, again, picture of a picture. Let me show you it closer up here. If it comes into focus, the flowers look like they are 3D, or at least they're hooked with different material. It's absolutely precious. And then this is the now. I think I have a picture of that actually. Let me just blast it. If I do, hang on. Come back over here. Yeah, this is the now. And this is Nativity Scene. This is a design by the Old Tattered Flag. Again, Sharon Charmello of Kingston, New York. I love this picture too. I'm not particularly religious, but I do love stories about the nativity scene, and this part of Christmas I love, with the baby being born and bringing hope into the world. Whether you're religious or not, that idea is for everybody. Absolutely beautiful. I love this piece. I love the hit or miss quality to this piece. It's still on the primitive side. So that says to me, Sharon loves hooking in the primitive style, as she should, because she's great at it. She's great at it. Look at all the nuances in this piece. Look at the shapes of Mary and Joseph in the little stable, and just the hit or miss quality in the background. The little zips of stars in the background. The angels coming in have a lot of movement, right? Weirdly, because they're stiff, but they do have a lot of movement. They're beautifully flanking the scene. The animals in the front. It's just gorgeous. Right, the design I'm sure is beautiful, but the way it's hooked is truly beautiful and different. Really, really exciting. So let's keep going. And Sauter Village Celebration. So there's always something on Sauter Village in every issue. This is only 2 pages, which I think is right, because Sauter Village is coming up again in August. And there are some corrections here to misinformation in past articles about Sauter Village. So this gets our excitement going, gets us thinking about it. I will be there with a Haunted Rug exhibit in 2025. I know it. I will be there, and I'm very excited to be there. And I'll be doing a gallery talk too, and maybe some vending. We'll see. So this time I will be there, and we'll be talking about it a lot more. But right now, I think 2 pages is the right amount, right? So let's go. We only have a few minutes left. I don't want to rush. I don't want to rush the next articles. So I don't want to end it on a negative note. But this is the article that stood out for me as like it was the hardest one to relate to, and I didn't put pictures in of it yet. So we're going to continue this conversation. Let me just check my schedule for Wednesday, because I thought we might get a little bit further, but we didn't. So let's come back together on Wednesday for a show at 11. I'm going to put in that I'm doing coffee time. That should work. So we can finish this conversation up then. It's on my schedule. So Wednesday I'll be with you. And remember on Friday to be sending me your early and your most recent work. Let's see if we can get that together for this week. There's an article called Engulfed. And I have to say, I'm just going to sort of clear the air for myself and my brain. This is, although this is an absolutely beautifully written and immaculate article in terms of the way that it's written, the way that it looks, the photography is over the top. It's the idea that for me does not work. The article is about using rugs as clothing. Now we can all have different opinions about this. For me, squarely in the menopause years and not even being able to wear a lightweight cardigan, this makes me hot just looking at it. Everybody has different feelings about it. And I guess the good thing about this article, and this is an article by Kate Thornhill, you did a beautiful job with this article, is just, it's not the article, it's not the pieces, it's not the photography, it's for me the idea. I just can't get behind the idea of wearing rugs for clothing, particularly, with global warming being an absolute whatever. Is it high art? Yes. Is it fashion? Yes. Most things I see in the fashion world are things that I would never do myself, not for lack of confidence or body image or whatever, just like I get when I look at high fashion and couture, because I went to school for fashion first, right? And then I became a costume designer and maker. And the reason I got away from fashion was because it all gave me the feeling of what were you thinking? And is it about being as weird as possible? I'm not relating it to this article. Or is it about beauty and evolving the form and dictating the styles for the average person to wear next year? And in fashion, it's not about that at all, right? It's about going big or going home. So for me, maybe it's just because I have that kind of fashion costume background. I love the idea in a gallery of a dress like this. I mean, this is beautifully drawn out, beautifully designed, right? It certainly had to be hooked and then pieced together. Um, if we're talking about hooked rugs that are clothing in terms of like an art installation, I would say absolutely that makes a lot of sense, right? Bring fiber art, show it that way, right? Show it that way. If we're talking about turning rugs into garments, for me that is like it's trying too hard. It's what my son Teddy would call being a sweat, right? When I try too hard at something and he's like, "Mom, you're such a sweat." It's circle peg, square hole, or vice versa, square peg, circle hole. The exception would be these amazing moments, right? And we saw lots of Backets this year at the Tigger convention. Um, oh, did I freeze? Maybe they're shutting me down because I'm being a bit edgy right now. Let me know if I'm still back with you. This makes sense to me. This makes sense to me. But I have to say, I had on one of my Backets yesterday. And as I always do, a Backet is like a jean jacket or a jacket like this one with an image on the back. When I'm in the car, I take it off because I don't want all those loops rubbing against the car seat. I just don't. I don't want to wear the rug like that, right? It's full contact. It's not like feet padding across it. It's full contact for hours in the car. So I do like the idea of a Backet if you must. Like, I like it. It was fun. We did it for the Tigger Festival. I make sense to wear something on your back when you're at a fair, when you're out somewhere. That makes sense to me. But I have to assume that these are art images and that we're talking about rug hooking in the context of fashion as bringing it to a sort of gallery level of thought. And if that is the thought, I am totally on board with that. Personally, I'm going to stick with rug making as rug making, and I love seeing pieces on the walls and on the floor. For me personally, I like that more than seeing things as garments. Each to his own, right? And it is a beautiful article. But that article does make me wonder, hearkening back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, are we moving toward a gallery format, or are we still looking at projects that would be appealing to beginners, to people, who have been hooking for a while and are looking for inspiration. It again, different things for different people. So maybe it's good that there's lots of choices out there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I am not part of the gallery scene of rug makers, and I know a lot of people are. And I think it's great that we're seeing rug hooking in galleries. I'm just wondering out loud if Rug Hooking Magazine is gonna head more in that direction. And what makes me think that are those kinds of articles that we see popping up more and more. I would like to see folks where I would like to see how they lined these garments. That's a good point, Sharon. Let me see if I can glimpse anything there. You would need them to be lined, right? Because they'd be scratchy as all hell. Um, I would also worry a lot as a costume maker. I would worry a lot about the weight of the garment, because I know I'm not even. There's lots of things wrong with me, but I can't even wear a turtleneck because I feel like it's choking me. Um, I wonder about the weight of the garments, and I wonder about the finishing of the seams. I also wonder a little bit about no clues as to the lining. This one definitely looks unlined. I'll show you a close up. Um, the dress I'm hoping is lined. Um, yeah, I mean, you have to have the figure of Twiggy, like the girl who's modeling the dress. She's absolutely gorgeous. But you have to have the figure of Twiggy, because obviously it's going to add a little bit to you, isn't it? This one I can tell is not lined at all, because you can see if it focuses better. You can see up the sleeve, and you can see, come on, you little jerk. You can see the stripes. Struggling with technology, but I think you can see the stripes. You can see where it's turned back, and you can see the stripes. So that is not lined. Um, and again, let me read the first article of this paragraph just so we can get a feel for this. Last fall, I was approached, so this is by Kate Thornhill. Last fall, I was approached by fashion designer Richard Brophy with an offer to participate in a project that would bring together textile artists and craftspeople from Newfoundland and Labrador to create a contemporary fashion collection inspired by the seascape. The project, called Engulfed, was intended to showcase that skill within the province's fiber arts community while promoting sustainable fashion and preserving the heritage of Newfoundland and Labrador, characterized by its towering cliffs and rocky shorelines. The collection would see its debut on a runway at the Montreal Fashion Week in September of 2024, but it would also travel to galleries across the country to display the talent of the province to the nation. My initial reaction was to decline. I don't make wearable art. I make hooked rugs and wall hangings. I couldn't imagine someone wearing a floor mat. After many discussions with Richard via email and phone, I realized it was possible to make something that could showcase the traditional art of rug hooking and be a piece of wearable art. Once I decided to participate, I discovered the other talented rug hooking artists were also submitting pieces for the show. What follows are those artists' stories in their own words. So Kate Thornhill, Winnie Glavine, who I met at Tigger and was fantastic, Michelle Churchill. All right, I think I know Michelle. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to, no, because I'm thinking that she's, the person I'm thinking of is Irish. Frances and Maxine Ennis, and I think that's it. So there we have it, right? Take it or leave it. Is it for you? Is it not for you? What I will say is, after the denim jacket thing, which I loved at Tigger, Rebecca and I have been talking about Tigger 2027 and saying, are we going to do the jackets again? Because it was so much fun, and they are wearable, right? They're not extra hot. I made two backets out of, one was like a sleeveless jacket, a vest, and the other had cap sleeves, like ruffle sleeves, so they are not hot. For me, it has to be that way, or the jacket is going to actually kill me. Like, it will become a murder weapon, right? If I'm just wearing this jacket, I'll just expire. Because it is hot. Even having that one patch on my back made me very hot. I loved wearing it while we were there with a lot of other people. and I've been wearing it in situations where I'm at a fair or I'm outside or whatever. But they are heavy and hot. And honestly, I can't imagine um, draping a rug over my body as an item of clothing. It has a bit of a Fred Flintstone feel for me personally. And I'm looking for input on this too, not that, but this. Rebecca and I were saying, what other garments besides bags, carpet bags and things? I was going to hold mine up, but it's not right there. Could you do? Could you? What other garments could be employed, as a project idea to showcase rug hooking? And honestly, I never thought of, for example, a dress or a shirt. We were thinking of kinds of collars like tabards and things like that, but then we dismissed all of the ideas thinking this stuff is just hot. I don't know. I don't know the answer. Maybe something that goes across you like an asymmetrical scarf so your head still gets the air and your neck isn't all scratchy. I don't know. But obviously, other people are thinking about it too. Can we use rug hooking to make wearable pieces of clothing? I guess it depends on where you are. If you're a female in your life, yeah, it's for me. It's a square peg circle hole. It's a weird one, I have to admit. I loved looking at the article though. It's one of all of these articles have merit and are interesting. It for me it becomes a question of with an issue this size, how many articles in here are going to hit more people in the best way, right? How many articles can you, if you're only going to have X amount of articles, how many articles can you put into that magazine that give the highest odds for the most people looking at this magazine and going, I want to do that too? Um, and if we're not talking about that exact conversation, then we are talking about features that teeter more on the gallery world of rug hooking. Now, maybe this is the next thing that we need to think about as rug hookers, because we have been on that parallel track through the 20th century where technical people are looking at sort of primitive and folky people and going, that's really not what I do, and vice versa, right? Well, that's not what I do, nor do I want to, right? And we've been parallel. Now we're crossing all over the place and saying, hey, I love what you do. I love what you do too. It's not what I do, but I love it, right? There's still more tracks, right? We're coming into like Clapham Junction or something. There's lots of tracks, and there is the gallery track, and we're seeing that more and more. We're seeing fiber arts and rug hooking hitting the gallery more, and I think it has to be that way. The question is, as traditional rug hooking is presented in a gallery setting, is it going to go full blast artsy fartsy, or is it going to stay traditional? And is there going to be another one of these for the next century? I don't know the answer to that. I think that's under our control too. Okay, let me catch up on my thingies. Hey, Allie, good to see you. You're back. You're back. Backets was me. I love the Backets. In fact, I just posted one on my Facebook group. Let me show you that Naomi had a Backet on. She did she didn't go to Tigger, but she did this Backet ages ago. My buddy Naomi she might wear it tomorrow when we go to Newport. Um, from Ravensgate Primitives. Let me see if I can find it. It's an amazing Backet. But this is one she did a while back. Let's see if that comes into focus at all. Looks absolutely beautiful. And I said to her, I gotta have a photo of that. It's an amazing Backet. That makes really good sense to me. Decorating something. I mean, at the end of the day, when you are creating a fiber, anything, right, that has height, it's essentially a giant patch, right, like a patch that you would sew on a Girl Scout sash, or you would sew on your cheerleader sweater. It's a patch. And then where are you going to patch it? And if it's not a patch, that's a different conversation, right? At my age, I avoid wearing bulk. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I can't help but get like the idea of like, for example, extreme, like a hair shirt out of my head. Or I remember, unrelated, but I remember years ago when I was in school for costume, my girlfriend Kath's birthday fell right around Halloween, and we had this one Halloween party. We were such jerks, where we were all dressed all sexy, like sexy witch or whatever. We were young and had great bodies then. And for her, because it was a surprise party, I made her like a caveman frock, and I lined it so she wasn't miserable. But it was basically fake fur, like just chopped up at the bottom and over one shoulder, right? And and a headband that went with it, and I made her these arm cuffs that went with it. And man, she laughed, but obviously it was like a joke costume, and she didn't want to wear it because she felt like it was big, it was heavy, and it came off pretty quickly. Did a few photos, and it had to come off because it was just too much, right? It was just too much to wear. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to get my head around it because I want to see rug hooking in as many places as possible, and I want to see it in garments. I'm just not sure that clothing, accessories, yes, clothing. I'm just fighting with myself now because I would love to make it work, and I would love to see rug hooking everywhere. But I also don't want to be absurd. You know what I mean? I don't know. Jury is out for me on that. I could see working it with smaller gauge yarn and needle punch, maybe. And also it's going to depend on your backing fabric, right? Like monk's cloth, that dress, that I mean the dress is absolutely stunning. That was on monk's cloth. So that's cotton. And I agree with you. I'm thinking what could the material be that would be super lightweight? I guess it would have to be t-shirt material or maybe nylon pantyhose. That could work. It's wool here. It's wool. But yeah, it could. You could do something. Again, durability. Like I would be very worried in like a straight up skinny dress, right, or like a skirt. I would be very worried sitting down and rubbing it against anything. But I guess intention is the thing, right? Like where do you intend to wear it, and for what reason? If you're working at a craft fair and you have a rug hooking stall, then it does make sense to wear it, right? Because you're a walking calling card. If you're going to the Metropolitan Museum and you're going to be indoors in an overheated environment for the next 6 hours, it might not be the right dress to put on. I don't know. Um, yeah, I was surprised though. Okay, so let me see. But I think bags and baskets, yeah, bags and baskets make a lot of sense to me because it's manageable, right? It's manageable amounts of hooking, and yeah, context is right for me. Kirsten says, "What about not wool fibers on light backing?" Yeah, yeah, it could work. It could work. Um, like you could do, I think t-shirt material on or nylon on monk's cloth, 100% cotton. Rug warp is heavier. Rug warp is much heavier. So that could work. But then, like, the next thing that pops into my mind is like, if you're going to wear a garment that's made of t-shirts, why not just wear a t-shirt material garment? I'm just not understanding um, the intention, and I don't need to because it's gallery art, right? It doesn't have to appeal to me. Maybe, yeah, definitely pins and jewelry, things like that. For mittens, yeah, mittens could be cool. Mittens could be cool, but durability, again, durability, right? Because we're talking about loops that are exposed and anywhere where they might catch or pull out. I mean, I worry about that with my pieces for the wall. Not about pieces falling out, but about someone getting too close or snagging something. I worry about that stuff just on a piece that nobody, for all intents and purposes, should really be touching a lot. Garments, I mean, I can't think of a single, I'm stopping, but I mean, I can't think of a single sweater of mine, including the one I bought to go to the fair yesterday. As I was driving home on Saturday, I could see I had snagged it in several places, and I had just bought it and it was the first time I wore it. That's what worries me about hooked garments. You don't want to give I don't want to give rug hooking another reason to fail or hibernate for a decade. Like, oh no, that doesn't make any sense at all. But in this context, I'm not sure that it makes a lot of sense. But in terms of being a gallery show, that's fantastic. Like in a gallery, fantastic, because those mannequins are not going to expire, right? Those mannequins are wearing these clothes beautifully, and everybody's admiring them, and everybody's looking at it and thinking, "Oh, what's rug hooking? I didn't know what that was." So in that regard, it is fantastic. For me, it's the crossover where it's like, but also you can wear them. That part I'm not sure. If we just, in my mind, leave it as like, oh, look at these things as garments, right? Then I say, ooh, that's exciting. Just like people are now cutting up quilts, right? All over the place. Super expensive, as it should be. Old quilts, beautiful 1920s era feed sack quilts being cut up and made into jackets and vests and skirts, even blouses. I think that is amazing. I think that's a great use of recycled material. But that stuff is as thick as a sheet, right? That's really different. And even some of those garments get looking bulky, right? Look like I'm in my $265 quilted bomber jacket. Don't I look awesome? Take lots of pictures of me from every angle so I can have a new Facebook. I'm being a bit sarcastic. Yeah, some of them are bulky, right? And it's just a dang quilt. Interesting. Let's watch this space and see. And April says, use lightweight cotton. I know when I hooked the lady for the country fair, I used light cotton strips and it was super light. Okay, interesting. Well, maybe that is the answer, using cotton. See, I would be so interested in someone trying this, not as like an artistic piece, like a garment that's an artistic piece, but a garment that one could wear. I would be super excited about someone coming up with the right formula and saying, well, if you use yarn this weight or you use material this weight, and this backing would be great for that, I would be super interested in that. I think that sounds fantastic. April says, Kathleen says, silk is hot, like temperature wise. Yeah. And Kirsten says, there is a Canadian teacher that teaches classes on mittens and bands on hats. That's cool. That makes a lot of sense. Kathleen says, but the old quilt clothing just can't take much wear. Exactly. It becomes a question of durability again. It becomes a question of, all of this chop shop stuff is great because we're recycling fibers that are beautiful, have some historic significance and maybe some nostalgia for the wearer. But it does become a question of durability because there's no reason to, instead of wearing clothing, wear things that are meant to be fiber art, and then have them fall apart, right? Have them fail and their function as clothing. That makes no sense to me. So, yeah, so I'm watching this spot and I'm seeing where this goes next because it's interesting. That's why we've been talking about it. It's interesting. And my husband said to me, he told me this anecdote the other day, which probably you've heard this already, but I'd never heard it before. It might be a true story or it might be an anecdote. I'm not sure. But he said, this is a story from Amsterdam, right? When he worked at the University of Amsterdam. He said that somebody was telling a story about being in an art class, and the teacher in the art class hated the stuff that this particular student was not hated it, disliked the stuff that this particular student was doing, and wasn't like everybody else, wasn't really following the guidelines, right? Wasn't really, doing the assignment. And the art teacher said to the student, because the student said, like, are you going to give me a bad grade? Are you going to fail me? And the teacher said, no, I'm not going to fail you just because you're doing something that I don't like. But you will get a really good mark if you can make me hate it. Because right now I just really don't like it. Make me hate it. If you have made me hate it, then I'm really feeling something, right? And it has succeeded, right? It's the same thing with all art. It's when I have that wishy-washy kind of I don't really care one way or the other. That's the dangerous area. Art is successful, and crafts, when a person sincerely really likes it or sincerely really hates it. Those extreme emotions make a piece memorable for the person who's looking at it, right? Everything in the middle, you're going to forget. All those pieces, however cute and great they were in the middle, you're going to forget those pieces, but you're going to always remember the ones that you really loved and really hated. And those things are so close together sometimes that maybe the next year, right, there's like some weird orbit, and you look at the piece you hated again and say, I'm ready to love you now, right? It happens with people too. So it's an interesting conversation to bring up, and it was worth spending a little time on, I think, because if you have the same reaction that I did when I saw that article and I thought, this is like nutso, the more I think about it and talk about it and the more comments I read of yours, I think there could be something here. And I'm just going to wait and watch and see what happens next, because I'm right in that kind of like, I just personally don't like it. Make them make me hate it, right? And then it'll be like forever in my brain. It'll have more weight in my life if I have a very strong emotion about it one way or another. So remember that when you're doing your designing and your work too, right? We tend to remember things that are give us extreme reactions, right? And I don't mean shock. I mean just like a serious aversion. Anyway, that was fun. And we have more to do in Rug Cooking Magazine issue. I will be back with you Wednesday so that we can finish the issue and let's look at some of the stuff that I bought that I thought was very unusual stuff. I have got a full day ahead of me now. Let me see if I should be announcing any other classes or stuff that's coming up. Tomorrow I will be in Newport with two of the other girls from Tigger, and we will be laying down the groundwork for our fun time for all of us in 2027. We'll plan way ahead for that. Tigger membership is not open yet. We have got to move funds over. This board, our board, does not officially come on until January, but we're kind of expediting the process because I need the money to give to the hotel to hold the spaces for the rate that we have now. We don't want to wait until the new year when rates will inevitably go up. So we're trying to do all this monkey business behind the scenes right now so we can keep the rates as low as possible and we can keep a buyout situation happening with that particular hotel. So we're going to be there in person, figuring that out tomorrow. Three of us, three strong, and I'll let you know how that goes. But as soon as we are able to, we will put up all of the stuff for membership, and we'll be talking about that more and more because 3 years is really far away, and we have a million fun times between now and then. But this is something that is huge and involves planning, and I don't want anybody to be left out. Um, of the event. It will all be planned well in advance. So have a great day tomorrow, everybody. Say a little prayer while I'm there that we make good progress, we get good deals, and we have great rapport, so that we're able to get as far as we can with making a great deal and putting together a really fun event. And then I will see you on Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, same as today. Thank you, April. And we will continue our look at this excellent issue of Rug Cooking Magazine. It's not huge, but it's got us talking, doesn't it? And that is a really good start. I will see you then, and remember to send me in your first and last rug. I didn't mean last. I didn't mean last. First and most recent rugs or thereabouts. And let's see if we can put together the content of a great show for this coming Friday night.